For the first time since the MIAA implemented a new high school football playoff system, a team from the Boston Public Schools was able to make it to the state semifinals. Actually, two BPS teams made it that far this season, the Latin Academy Dragons and the Brighton Bengals. Both teams were in action over the weekend, competing in the state semis with a spot in the Super Bowl at Gillette Stadium on the line. First, let's head out to Brockton on Friday night as the Latin Academy Dragons were facing Millis in the Division 4A state semifinals. That's quarterback John Tian over the middle. He finds Pat Fitzgerald for the hookup right there, gets the Dragons down to the 21-yard line. Dragons now at the 9 just before the half. Fourth down. Pass is deflected by Millis. Dragons unable to put up any scores in the first half. They trailed 21-0 at halftime. Third quarter, Millis got it going early. Bryce Latazek over the middle to Brian Esponnett. Good for 36 yards. That gets Millis close in Boston Latin Academy territory. Now from the 19, it's Dom Zanfrelli. To the outside, he takes the hit, but is able to cross the plane for the touchdown. Millis blanks Boston Latin Academy 31-0, and Millis moves on to the Super Bowl. Then on Saturday, it's the Brighton Bengals in the Division 4 state semifinals taking on Mashpee. We're going to pick it up in the third quarter. Brighton trailing 20-8, and Mashpee gets another touchdown. This time it's Jason Andre, 19-yarder. Mashpee up 28-8 for Brighton charges right back. That's Nate Hall connecting with William Jean for the 34-yard touchdown. Brighton now down 28-14. Mashpee would score another TD, so Brighton now down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but Kevin Brown goes to work. 28 yards to the end zone for Brown, 34-20. Mashpee still on top. Next Brighton possession, Nate Hall throwing the screen over the middle. Again, it's Kevin Brown. Look at him in the open field. 49-yard screen pass for a touchdown from Brown. That brings the Bengals within 1 score. Under 2 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Gutsy call by Mashpee on third down. They throw a halfback pass. And that's Cameron Kurgo with the touchdown reception as Mashpee goes up 42-28 with just over a minute to go. Brighton's got to score twice. Nate Hall going down the sideline to the big fella, Gerard Clark, who somehow comes up with the one-handed grab, scores a touchdown, 75 yards with 8 seconds left. Brighton down by 8. They got to get the onside kick, but it goes out of bounds. Mashpee takes over with just a couple seconds left, and Mashpee is heading back to the Super Bowl again this season. Brighton gets their first loss of the year in the state semifinals. Boy, tough way to end a postseason run for both those squads, but interestingly enough, they play each other on Thanksgiving morning over in Brighton. But before we put a bookend on the BPS high school football season, we'll get a glimpse of Boston's high school football future as the city's best middle school football teams will clash tomorrow night at White Stadium for the middle school football championships. First game is at 4 p.m. as Tech Boston Academy faces Orenburger for the Township Championship. And then immediately following that game will be the BPS Middle School City Championship as the Edwards Eagles take on the Fredericks Panthers at roughly 6 p.m. Those games are always a blast, seeing the young guys duke it out on the gridiron. And that is going to do it for sports this week, folks. Be sure to come right back here next week for more on Boston Neighborhood Sports.